All right, so when you see a title like Aquinas' Proofs for God, I get it. Your mind probably jumps to faith, to theology, to something you just have to believe. But what we're about to dig into is, well, it's the exact opposite of that. This is a methodical, logical argument, built step by step, almost like a piece of code or a mathematical proof. This isn't really a sermon. Think of it as a workout for your brain, an exercise in pure reason. It's a serious attempt to answer one of the biggest questions ever, using a kind of science that deals with principles, not particles. And what is that question? It's the big one. Why is there all this? Why is there a universe, stars, planets, you, me? Why is there something instead of just nothing? Now, physics, and all the sciences we're used to, are amazing at explaining how the universe works. They give us the rules of the game, from the Big Bang all the way to today. But physics, by its own rules, can't tell us why there's a game being played at all. And that's where this guy, Thomas Aquinas, comes in. Back in the 13th century, he decided to tackle this question head-on, not with scripture, but with cold, hard logic. His science was called metaphysics, which is basically the study of being itself. You could think of it as the science that comes before physics. Physics studies how existing things act. Metaphysics asks, what does it even mean to exist in the first place? It's looking for the source code of reality. Okay, but before we can even begin to follow Aquinas' arguments, we need to understand the tools he's using. You wouldn't try to solve a physics problem without knowing what mass and velocity mean, right? Same thing here. So let's open up his philosophical toolkit and see what's inside. First up, the word motion. Now, in Latin, it's modus, and for Aquinas, this is huge. It does not just mean a car driving down the street. It means any kind of change at all. A cup of coffee going from cold to hot? That's motion. An acorn growing into a mighty oak tree? That's motion. A block of wood being carved into a chair? You guessed it, that's motion. It's any change from a state of possibility to a state of reality. And that idea is the absolute engine of his entire system. The difference between potentiality and actuality. It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. Potentiality is just what something could be. A pile of lumber is potentially a house. Actuality is what a thing is right now. The finished house is actually a house. A great way to think about it is with an old steam locomotive. When it's just sitting there, but the boiler is full of hot steam, it has the actual power to move. It's ready to go. Then, when it's chugging down the tracks, it's putting that power into action. It's moving from one state of actual to another. Now, here's the one big rule you have to get. This is the bedrock of everything that follows. Potentiality cannot make itself actual. Something can't just decide to bring itself into existence or to change on its own. That block of marble is never, ever going to sculpt itself into a statue. The cold water can't just decide to heat itself up. To get from potential to actual, you always need something that is already actual to make the change happen. An actual sculptor, an actual fire. This is non-negotiable in his system. All right, so with those tools in hand, let's finally build the first proof. This is called the argument for motion, and it leads us to a pretty startling conclusion. There must be an unmoved mover. So here's the logical chain, step by step. 1, we look around and see things are changing. Obvious, right? 2, we just established from our toolkit that nothing changes itself. It has to be changed by something else that's already actual. Okay, now here's the critical step, number 3. This chain of movers can't just go back forever. Now, this is super important. He's not talking about a chain of events stretching back in time, like a line of dominoes. He's talking about a chain of things happening right now. Think of a train. The last car is only moving because the car in front of it is pulling it, which is being pulled by the car in front of it, all the way up to the engine. If that chain of cars was infinitely long, with no engine at the front, the train wouldn't be moving at all. There'd be no power to get things started. So there has to be a start to the chain. And that brings us to the conclusion number 4. There must be a first mover, something that's causing all the motion and change without being moved or changed by anything else. And 5, Aquinas says this unmoved mover, that's what we call God. Now for the really cool part. The second proof takes that exact same logical structure, but it applies it to something even more basic than change. It applies it to the sheer fact of existence itself. This is the argument from causation. You're going to see the same blueprint here. 1. We observe things have a cause for their existence. 2. Nothing can cause itself. I mean, think about it. To cause yourself to exist, you'd have to exist before you existed. It's a total contradiction. 3. Just like with motion, this chain of causes can't go back forever. And again, this isn't about the Big Bang. He's talking about what's holding everything in existence right this second. If everything depends on something else for its existence, and that chain is infinite, then nothing could exist at all. There's no foundation. So the conclusion is unavoidable. There must be a first, uncaused cause, a source of existence that just is and doesn't need anything else. And this, Aquinas says, is what we mean by God.
Okay, I know, that word God. For a lot of us, it immediately brings up images of a big guy with a white beard sitting on a cloud. I need you to just put that image aside. The God that these proofs point to is a very specific philosophical concept. It's the logical endpoint of the argument, not some character from a story.
The God of Aquinas is not the biggest, strongest being in the universe. That would just be another thing that needs a cause. No, this God is the very ground of being itself. It's not another player in the game. It's the game board, the rules, and the power source all in one. It's what makes it possible for there to be a list of existing things in the first place. So Aquinas has a technical term for this. Don't let the Latin freak you out. It's ipsum esse subsistens. All that means is subsistent being itself. Think it through. This first cause can't have any potentiality, right? It can't have the possibility to change, because if it did, it would need something else to actualize that potential, and then it wouldn't be the first cause. So it has to be pure actuality. It can't become anything because it just is. And this leads to a really wild idea. For you, me, a chair, a star, for everything in the universe, what it is, its essence, is a separate question from that it is, its existence. We can all imagine the essence of a dragon. We know what it is, even though it doesn't exist. But for God, Aquinas argues, the essence and the existence are the exact same thing. God's very nature isn't something that has existence. God's nature is existence. What God is to be.
So, let's land the plane here. Why does any of this stuff from the 1200s matter to us today? Why should we care about this framework, especially when we have quantum physics and the Hubble telescope? It matters because whether you end up agreeing with his conclusion or not, what Aquinas gives us is a masterclass in how to use pure reason. He shows us how to build a logical, coherent system to even begin asking those ultimate questions that science, by definition, can't touch. It's a totally different way of doing science. It's a rational investigation into the very foundation of reality. It's an exercise in pushing logic to its absolute limit to see what it can tell us. And so that really leaves us with a final thought. Aquinas put a powerful, logically reasoned answer on the table. Now you can poke holes in it, you can challenge his premises, that's what philosophy is all about. But that original question, why is there something rather than nothing, it doesn't just go away. So the challenge kind of falls to you. If not this, then what? How would you explain it? What logical framework can possibly account for the fact that anything exists at all?